Hello, my name is Kerrioth, and this is the the Wednesday Ramble? Oh my god, getting later and later in the week. In my defense, Monday, just everything broke and I had to format my PC and start all over again, which does not leave a huge amount of time for recording. And yesterday, the entire day, why do you need your entire house pressure washed? Is that a thing? Is that a thing normal people do? Because that's what my neighbour did, and my god, the noise was unbearable. I barely managed to squeeze out that video. Don't phrase it like that. I barely managed to squeeze out that video about the Dungeons and Laser stuff yesterday. And even that was like, I had like an hour to do any voice stuff because of the noise. But we're not skipping the ramble this week. No, we are in fact gonna go for it. Late but appreciated. Well, late anyway. So let's jump in. Let's jump in and see what previews we have got. This is a trick question. I know what previews we've got because I've already looked at the article. Ho-ho! So, we have Start Collecting Soulblight Gravelords. That is on the way. That's got the new White King in it. I have to admit, like, I mentioned this on Twitter. I was like, I just don't know about putting brand new models in boxes with old models. It's not something I'm a fan of. And something that I've noticed, whenever I point stuff like this out, someone will always say, "Hey, Kerry, they've done this for ages." I know they've done it for ages. I'm well aware of what they do. I know how Games Workshop works, and the way they put models in different boxes, and how they restrict access to new stuff in order to make people buy more than they actually need, and spend more than if that character had been released separately. I know they do it, but I'm not going to stop mentioning that I don't like it, because it becomes, like, it's already normal. But I don't want it to be at the point where it's like, oh, great, cool, he's in a box with other stuff, brilliant. I don't want that to become the norm. I want it to be pointed out that it's not something I particularly approve of. I know why they do it, and it works. It unquestionably works. You know, you stick a brand new character in a box with a bunch of old models, and people will buy the old models to get their hands on the new character. Totally understand the logic behind it, but I'm not going to like it, and I'm not going to say that I like it. That being said, at the very least, the Graveguard and your horse lads there, your horse lads. I don't know why I didn't just... Yeah, I always forget. Black Knights. I always want to say Blood Knights, even though I know they're not Blood Knights, because Blood Knights are the vampire guys, and they've got new models, but I always just automatically put Blood in front of Knights. Not great. Yeah, the Graveguard and the Black Knights, they look alright, in fairness. They don't look terrible. They've aged okay. I would suggest that you can definitely see an increase in quality in terms of sculpting when it comes to the White King's horse and the Black Knight horses. But, you know, other than that, it's okay. It's perhaps less the box and more the practice that I'm somewhat not in favour of. Now, what else do we have? We have Dire Wolves. I accidentally said that these were going to be up for pre-order last weekend in the little community post that I tend to do. That's my mistake. They are going to be available this coming weekend. Yeah, doing this like halfway through the week has totally thrown off my sense of time, even though it should make no difference. But brains are weird and mine doesn't work. But yeah, the Dire Wolves are going to be available. They still look quality. They still look decent. We also have Belladama Vulgar, first of the Vikos, who looks solid. I mean, also still just looks like Elena Tyrell, which is probably one of the reasons she looks so solid. Although I did notice the other day, the two wolves. One wolf, entire mouth full of small teeth. Other wolf, 4 very big teeth. Weird they didn't just use the same number of teeth on both wolves. I didn't pick up on that before. I don't know what's going on there, but... Now that I know that that's a thing, I can't stop staring at their mouths, which is a bit weird. I don't recommend just walking around staring at people's mouths. It might cause upset and distress. We also have Radikar the Beast, absolutely solid. He looks so good. He does look so good. I really like that model. He's a fella who is going to have to be bought. And even if not used for Age of Sigmar, at the very least, he's going to give my players in D&D an absolute kicking, frankly. I still think this is a super imposing model. Like, he's just so full of dread and menace, and I still really, really like that kind of interlaced armour, almost, where the metal's like folded over itself. That's a really cool look. I would like to see that on more stuff, to be fair. Next up, we have Radikar the Wolf and Radikar's Court. Now, I'll be honest here. I'll be honest. This to me feels like we already knew Curse City it's gone, right? There's just been no talk about it. They've not addressed anything about it. They've not expanded on why they're not printing it. They've not said anything about doing a second run. This to me absolutely puts that game in the grave. I've no idea whether they intend to do things in terms of expansions for it. I don't know whether that's something they are still going to go ahead with, even though the rulebook does mention them specifically. But the fact that Radikar the Wolf and Radikar's Court are both going to be going up as their own separate sets, to me just suggests that it's gone. Like it's not gonna have a reprint, I don't think. Now, admittedly, I can't remember whether they did something similar with Blackstone Fortress, and Blackstone Fortress continued to be made, but it's just... this is going to be like, what? I mean, my initial guess was like 60 quid, but when you look at the Indomitus one, it's like £89 for some of the stuff out of there, and this is going to be expensive. It's going to be a significant portion of the cost of the box game for the one with multiple models in it. I suppose if they release all of them, if you have Radikar's Court, and you have all the heroes released as well, then you can build up your own copy of Cursed City using models bought for what will end up being like 3 times the price, probably. You can get the Deadwalker zombies, you can get the Skelly Boys, so technically you could build up the game yourself. You wouldn't have any of the tiles or the rulebook, but you could do it. I don't know, this is just like, this feels very, very soon. This feels like we can't make the box anymore. We can't make it, but we've still got the molds. We were going to produce a bunch of these anyway, so let's just sell them on the website as separate things. The thing is, they're not even that great in terms of Age of Sigmar. You have to take that lot all together in one big group. So, in terms of, like, usefulness, they're not, really. So, this really does feel like we can't make the box, but we can make the models, let's just sell them, let's go. But yeah, but still no word, still no hint as to an official position on what's happening. And I will point out as well, like when we talked about Cursed City a little while ago about how it disappeared, there were a couple of comments that were like, oh, the entitlement. Games Workshop aren't like, they're not beholden to you. Like you're not entitled to buy the things that they sell. That's not the angle that I was going for with that video about Cursed City. I know that I don't have the absolute right to buy what Games Workshop doesn't sell. Like, they decide what's on sale, that's just how that works. But my point is not that, people want to buy this, therefore they should sell it. My point is that they told people that it would be available, and then they just pretended they'd never said that at all. That's not an entitlement thing, that's a company misleading you. You could go so far as to say it's deceiving, it feels deceptive, but I don't think it was necessarily intentional. But the thing is, the way that you handle the PR side of things is intentional. Like the box going out of stock and not coming back due to manufacturing issues, due to shipping issues, due to a certain proportion of the content being made of cardboard and therefore suffering a higher tax rate, which means the box isn't profitable, which is one theory. The idea that it's actually an IP conflict, so there's stuff in there that infringes on the intellectual property of another company. That's another theory that's been going around. Those are all things that Games Workshop might not necessarily really be able to do anything about, unless they redid the whole box and rewrote a whole bunch of stuff or redid the contents. But what they can do, and I'm not saying that they should do that because we're entitled to buy it from them. What they can do, though, is handle the PR. What they can do is decide what to tell the customers. And what they told the customers was, this will be available, for, just ongoing. It's part of the catalogue, don't worry about it. And then they just pretended they never said that at all. I would suggest we're not even entitled to an explanation, but not being entitled to an explanation doesn't mean that, not giving an explanation is a good idea. It all comes down to how you want to communicate with the people who give you money. If you want to just not talk to them, if you want to just pretend that you didn't say something that you did say, if you want to just totally ignore the dissatisfaction that comes from being told one thing and then have that change to something else with no acknowledgement of there being any sort of issue with doing that in the first place, that's entirely their choice. But you can't then go, okay, well, they may have completely changed their tune. They may have handled it in a way that meant that no one has answers. They've not spoken to anyone. They've not addressed it officially. They've not made any effort to actually communicate with their fan base. You can't just then say, but they're allowed to do that and that's fine and you shouldn't be annoyed about it. I think you're allowed to be disappointed in communication from companies, especially when you are a fan of what they produce. It's not about entitlement, it's about how you want to handle your customers, and they just handled it really, really badly. This is one of the reasons why I think there may be some merit to it being an intellectual property thing, because it might be that they're just not allowed to talk about it, which would kind of make sense, but it's still massively dissatisfying no matter how you slice it. On the upside, if you're going to be looking for any of these characters individually, I would imagine that they're going to be available on eBay once this goes up. Like, if you want to just get the Vargskaya, which, to be honest, I kind of want to get a second one. I really enjoyed messing with the first one. That was a lot of fun. I would quite like to do a second one, but that might be an option coming up soon. Now, next up, we also have Kritzer, the Rat Prince. Now, I did watch Rob and the guys from the Honest Wargamer talk about the leaked Soulblight Gravelords War Scroll, and if I remember correctly, Kritzer is not really anything special, which is a shame because it's a really, really cool model. He looks really cool. It's very aristocratic, quite menacing, quite posh, but also just quite weird and lanky. And yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that he's not more of something exciting, but he is still a cool model. And along with Kritzer, we also have Lady Annika. I'm absolutely getting Lady Annika. That long cloak is just it's begging for a smooth, a silky smooth dry brush blend, and I want it. I want it right now. Interestingly, two different poses. You've got the Batwing option. So instead of the hand holding the mask, you've got the weird, creepy, fleshy Batwing, which is cool. I like that. I still have no idea how I'd achieve it, but I'd quite like to do something where the mask is on her face, but her face is being held in her hand. But that is the kind of microsurgery that I don't think I'm quite capable of, frankly. We also have, for Diachasm, these lads. So, Canaan's Reapers. I don't care about any of these, I just want Canaan. I'm just throwing it out there. The rest of them, fine. They're fine, but the big man himself, the Executioner, I want that model. I want that. The rest of them, sure, but him specifically, absolutely immense. Now, we also have, for 40k, Adeptus Mechanicus Codex. Oh yeah, still the best Codex artwork so far. I mean, look at that. Oh my god, look at him. What an absolute chunk. I want to make that model. I want them to sell it. I want them to make that model. Mostly because trying to kit bash that is going to be vastly expensive. And yet, I would argue, totally worth doing. Look at the majesty. Oh, absolutely love that Codex cover. It's so good. There's also the data cards, of course, and the dice set. Not much to say. Good dice. Well thought out. Let's move on. And Combat Patrol Adeptus Mechanicus. So, we've got a Tech Priest Engine Seer, on a Dune Crawler, 3 Cataphren Destroyers or Breaches, and a squad of 10 Skitarii Rangers or Vanguard. So, again, a 20 power level force. I would assume this is going to be 85 quid again. That seems to be the way they're going. They are just keeping every box at £85, which is exactly the right move, because it needs to be a consistent entry point into the hobby. And yeah, this looks like a decent box. Nice mix of stuff here. Nice mix of stuff. We also have the Skitarii Marshal, which still looks decent. Quite the beefy lad. I do like the helm. The helm's quality. And if you're familiar with Mechanicus, that is going to be available on Google tablets and iPads as well. Ooh, interesting. Also, finally, Lilith Hesperax is going to be available standalone. It's happened. Good. I mean, Piety and Pain vanished so quickly. But now you'll be able to get her, which is nice. Standalone. And we also have the Chronomancer and Flayed ones. Chronomancer looks cool. Flayed ones are absolutely quality, and I love them. And even though they will probably never see the tabletop, I'm going to get them at some point, because the nostalgia is absolutely real when it comes to these Flayed ones. They're so good. And the Captain with Mastercrafted Heavy Bolter and your Heavy Intercessors will also be available. You will not have to buy a Kill Team box just to get hold of these, which I know a lot of people who did that. They didn't care about the actual, about the game or about the Necrons. They just wanted Heavy Intercessors. And now you'll be able to get those for considerably less. especially if you use an affiliate link like mine from Element Games. Just don't need that. And Necrons and Space Marines are about to be bolstered by combat patrol sets, so we're going to have combat patrols for them as well. The Necron one, fine. You've got essentially 10 Immortals there. I mean, you can take the Death Marks if you like, but you've got 10 Immortals. You've got a couple of 3 Tomb Blades. You've got the Croissant of Doom and a Necron Overlord, which is fine. The other one... Firstly, did we need another combat patrol for Space Marines? I don't know that we did. Do you want to put any of those in that Impulsor? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. As box compositions go, do you want any of those units in that Impulsor? I don't think you do you really? Can you even buy the suppressors individually? No, you can't buy suppressors individually. you just can't get them. Actually, yeah, you know what? The composition of that box was looking pretty familiar. It is literally just start collecting Vanguard Space Marines, but with an Impulsor thrown in. That's it. That's it. What else do you get extra? Nothing. That's the whole box. Okay, well, sure. Yeah, alright, whatever. Let's move on, shall we? We've also got the Dark Imperium series, which continues apace next weekend. And along with that, you got a very fancy cover, a very fancy special edition for Godblight, which does look nice. There's only 750 of these, so you're going to have to get in quick, or alternatively get absolutely gouged to hell and back on eBay, which will happen to quite a few people, because Scalper's going to scalp. And as always, we've got the usual array of entertainment on Warhammer Live. Should you be interested, tell you what, let's finish up on... Ooh, her. She's creepy as anything. Let's stick with that. Is there anything in there that's caught your eye? Anything you're looking forward to, planning on picking up as soon as you possibly can? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click it if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.